TSUYUSHIBA is a traditional Japanese pattern, and I've always been interested in using pattern in my work, and I've started paintings using sort of a pattern situation. This is the first time I actually consciously used a pattern in all of these paintings. The word TSUYUSHIBA refers to lawn grass with dewdrops, and you see it in kimonos and stuff like that. And I said, well, how did she get interested in this? And I have to wind back a little way. I had a fellowship, Fulbright Memorial Fellowship to Japan, and then I went to Japan, and I was there for several weeks, courtesy of the Japanese government. And then when I was teaching at Baton Rouge Community College up until a year ago, I actually taught Asian art and non-Western art. So it's been something that I've really always been interested in. And in my last show, I actually had a painting with one of these patterns, and a friend of mine who lives here in Baton Rouge named Akiko Kamo was there. And I said, do you see anything Japanese? She said, oh yes, she noticed it right away. And when I started doing these paintings, I asked her, I said, well, what is this? And she sent me an email explaining what it was. So that's what this pattern is. And when I paint, I take the pattern and I put it on I just draw it lightly on I'm using paper here, and I draw it on the paper usually with charcoal or with liquid black acrylic paint. And then I start working with it. So you see over here, this pattern is very straightforward, but as time goes on, the pattern gets distorted. It gets put upside down or on a diagonal or on a vertical. And after I have the pattern on, then I start working with the composition. My form of painting is very spontaneous as I paint. I have certain references that come to my mind, and my painting reflects what happens within my life. You see here, I wore this t-shirt because it says, the joy of painting. I love to paint. Painting is my life. It's something I've been painting for a long time, and this is the work that I did last year. The other interesting thing about this work, and this is sort of where I'll end it here, is that when I painted these paintings, my daughter had moved in with me with one of my grandchildren, and while she was living with me, another child was born. So I was really busy with the family during that time, and I had little time to paint. And what I would do is I would just paint like for an hour a day. I didn't have a long period of time. So it seemed to me that the painting became more spontaneous and direct because of this. And that's something, those are the two unique things that I see in this show, is this greater spontaneity, a greater directness, and at the same time the use of this Japanese pattern. I love color. I just love paint. I love color. I love paint, and I fall in love with the color, and I start to use it. And I use oil paint on top of acrylic, so I tend to have, I start the paints with acrylic, and then I paint on top with oil. As you can see, I'm really interested in pattern. Characteristics of Japanese art that I like are asymmetry, pattern, bold, flat colors, and heavy lines. So you can see there's an affinity, although it's not Japanese, there is an affinity that I have between my painting and Japanese art.
In the pictures you passed around, there was a great deal of pattern all together. Do you consider this sort of just a part of a big giant pattern, and you've just chosen a small part of it?
Exactly. I've just chosen a small part, and you can see this is the only one where the pattern is really, over time I paint the pattern. Some of the pattern gets painted out or manipulated. You know, by the time you get here and over here, what happened? The pattern just got painted out. But they all started with this same pattern. Yeah. The titles. Okay. Well, this is called The Tunnel of Love, which I didn't have a very warm feeling about love at this point. To me, love looked like a trap, you know, so that was, the tunnel of love was there with the trap. Over here, these are the easier ones to explain. This one is called drift. I don't know if you can see this. It's, you know, in the middle of the summer, it's nice to think about snow and a snowy day. So this is drift. Untitled. Actually, I actually finished painting this on Easter morning. This is actually titled Easter Morning, and I don't know, to me there's religious symbolism in it. Of course, it's, you know, whatever the viewer brings to it is fine. This one is Entre I get really interested in the idea of relationships with people, you know, entre nous and how they get tangled and twisted and everything. So that's entre nous. This one is untitled because when I finished it, there wasn't much to say. It was just colors and patterns. This one is the end of the tail. This was the last painting I did.